where are my tongs? Because these are already hot. Okay, we're done. We know, you're done. Okay. Of course. Thought I was filming all morning, and I wasn't. Par for the course. Anyhow, I have revisited the eco printing. For one, I got some different and better, more suitable mordants. And what I got was, I have here some oak gallnut ground up for tannin. And then I also got, ordered some, got some stuff. Ordered and received aluminum lactate, which is a newer form of alum for working with cellulose fibers. And I will put a link to where I purchased these. It's at theyarntree.com. So if you want to support a small business, I support that. Very good service, came right away, and well packaged, all the things. So what I did, I'm going to turn you around since I lost all my footage and show you where we're at now. Okay? All right. Okay, so you mix, I soaked everything in this overnight in a big pot. And all the instructions are given to you when you order the item. But anyway, then I mixed up the aluminum lactate, also in a big pot, and heated it up to about 100 degrees, so just like where you can just stand to put your hand in it, and put the fabric, rinsed it lightly from the oak gall, but not really much, stuck it in there, and let it simmer for about an hour. I didn't time it. Then turned it off, and then just let it sit on the stovetop all day and cool. Actually overnight, because I didn't get back to it yesterday. So let's go over here. What I thought I filmed and didn't was the new bundling of these fabrics. So I have 3 sausages. Come on, phone, don't fall. 3 or 4? 4. 4 rolls, and they're rolled on pieces of. You could use big doweling, but I happen to have an old broom handle, so it's either pine or hickory or who knows what, and I cut it into pieces that would fit into my pot. And then I did make one, like what I call a book bundle, wrapped around cardboard and stuff. So we will see. This time I used no waxed paper, parchment paper, no barriers. There is some watercolor and sketch paper. I'm sorry for the background noise. I've been gone, and I had to do my laundry, and it's right behind me, so sound is sound. Anyway, so I have these bundles, and what I also did was for the last little while, and when I was out of town, I gathered leaves and pressed them in a heavy book, so I had a bunch of different leaves. I also went out this morning and grabbed a few more, but now what we're gonna do is I've been heating this water up all morning. I'm going to try to lower this in here without burning myself or dropping the camera. Okay, I'm gonna add more water to this, or no. Okay, y'all see, I'm learning, trying to learn. All right, so I'm learning. I was gonna put it in a steamer basket, and that's what I did last time, but I don't think, because I want them submerged this time. I don't want to just steam them. So now I have to pull them out without. Shit. Okay, we're gonna pull this out. And we're just gonna dunk these babies in there. Where are my tongs? Because these are already hot. This water's been simmering on the stove here for a while, so get down in there. Get down in there, folks. Right now, this is just plain water, but I think I'm gonna. Okay, should I put you maybe in first? I think as they soften up. Usually, I've experimented with wrapping the roll ones around sticks like I did here, and just rolling them around themselves. And when I roll them around themselves, obviously, they're much more flexible. All right, what else I'm gonna do here? Hold on a minute. I went out to my shed last night and got some rusty bits. So that's a rusty hinge from when my shed blew down in the tornado. I did put some rusty nails. Ooh, I wish I'd put that in there. In some of the bundles. I think that one piece of rusty stuff is going to be enough. I'll save these aside. So now, if I can find the lid, here we go. I'm just going to let that do its thing for about an hour and a half. Just at a slow thing, slow rumble. And I think with all the tannin from the oak gall, here, let's turn around and talk to you. Okay. I'm going to let this sit and simmer for about 90 minutes. Okay. I've got some computer work to do, so that'll be my timer. And then I will pull them out and let them cool and see if we got a better result than we did last time. What is going on down here? These two little girl white kittens finally got names. And this, oh, come on, show me your eyes. Can you see? Can you see that she has one blue eye and one gold eye? And this is Miss Aoife. Nice Irish name. And it's spelled Aoife, but it's pronounced Aoife. And from my, oh, you didn't quite land where you were supposed to land. Are you okay, Effie? So her nickname is Effie. Effie was my grandmother's middle name. She hated her middle name, but her grandparents, I want to say, I have to look at my genealogy, came from Ireland. There's an interesting story there. The brief version of that is this great-grandfather left Ireland, a Jesuit priest, and landed in Halifax, Canada, and became a Baptist minister. So there must be an interesting story there, right? The other addendum to that story was that at some point there was a nun involved that became his wife, but I was never able to confirm that. Anyway, Irish ancestry, and so I think that Effie is possibly the Americanized version of Aoife, and that's where her middle name came from. Now, where is her little sister? Where's your little sister? Lilith is growling at someone, so I'm guessing that's the little sister. Hold on. All right, this is little sister. We called her number one, but we called these, the royal we, I called these two girls because Effie, Aoife, was born with a little bit of a black spot, much smaller than her sisters. So I had the two with the black spots, and so we called them the Indigo Girls. Oops, and Aoife is leaning against the tripod. But anyway, they're not the Indigo Girls anymore because Amy and Emily did not fit my naming scheme. Also, I had too many friends named Emily and Amy, so they got new names. So her name has changed a couple times. It started as Saoirse, but I felt like, oddly enough, Saoirse has gotten to be too popular of a name lately. So I've changed it. I did a little more reading and all my Celtic mythology and things, and I decided to name her Rhiannon. And I also won't lie that I was having a dance party in my dance party slash private karaoke in my living room one night, and was jamming out to some Fleetwood Mac. So Rhiannon is her name, and in Welsh mythology, Rhiannon was a warrior who rode into battle on a white horse, and there were no warriors could defeat her. And I took warriors to mean, you know, male warriors. So I figured with Lilith also being the destroyer of the patriarchy, that Rhiannon being the goddess that could not, the horse goddess who could not be defeated, really felt right for right now because, yeah. Anyway, so Rhiannon, and let's see if I can get Aoife up here again. Come here, baby. They're getting almost too big to pick up with one hand. Okay, so here are the girls. My girls, my little girls. And you can't see Aoife's black spots at all. That's just shadow. So hers have gone away, and Rhiannon's have gotten a lot lighter. Hers has gotten lighter, but I think she'll always have some little bit of a skid mark on her head. But these are my girls. Hi. My other girls. So now I have 4 female cats in this house, and only Henry is the only male. So I guess the theme of, you know, girl power around here. But this little one is my cuddly girl. She has bonded really with me quite a bit, and Aoife has bonded with Henry, oddly enough. They sit and cuddle and give each other baths and everything. So anyway, that's the kitten update. I am not going to take you through every piece of fabric that I dyed in this experiment, because I ended up doing this experiment more than once, trying to get better results. But I have a few pieces that were either from one of the times I did this that turned out great. So I'm going to share those. This is lots of blackberry or wild rose or something prickly, and this kind of situation. This was from an earlier dye attempt, and definitely was probably my best result as far as getting distinct leaf prints. This is a little more subtle. And this is mugwort, an artemisia. And that was definitely from an earlier one, because I didn't do that in this little go around. But I do really like the way, so I got to remember that. That's why I need to make some notes in a journal. This one turned out great. You can see it's a mirror image that the leaf was inside here. And this, I do believe, I think it's from the peach tree behind my house, but I'm not 100 on that. But there is also a very faint ginkgo in here, and some other faint ones. The ginkgo on this side's a little bolder. But I like how the overlap, those were some petals from a flower. There's some mugwort. So they're nice and subtle, and the overlaps are cool. So there's a good lesson. Allow it to overlap. See what you get. This one's not as great, although there are some nice dark ones, but then there's some others that just didn't do what I asked them to do. And that happens. And that's the back side. So this was where the leaves were in here, and then this was folded over and bundled. Also I put this in one of the bundles with some of the iron, with some of the rusty bits. So I got this nice dark gray bit here. Let's look at some of the results of eco-printing on paper from those bundles that I did earlier. I'm just going to flip through a few of them, and I'm going to try to remember what's on here. I believe this is onion skin and black tea leaves, but the back side is really cool. It gives it more subtle. We have some oak leaves that have shown up on the eco printing. Some other little leaves. I'm not sure, don't remember what they were. Again, an oak leaf, and that's probably onion skin. This one I was pretty happy with because I do have a very faint ginkgo leaf here. And kind of indistinct leaf patterns there, but there were 2 ginkgo leaves. This one was folded. I guess it must have been, was it folded? I don't remember which way it was folded. Got a few leaf prints here. I don't really know what gave me that color, but it's kind of cool. So there's, you know, there's some leaf prints here. This one's one of my favorites. Why can't I get this in cloth? I don't know, but maybe I can sew on this. But it has some iron, it has some tannins. There's a subtle, I think that was some kind of aspen. I'm not sure. I picked up some leaves on a walk that I'm not sure what they are. But there was iron in here because you can see there was some nails and there was a washer here. So that gave some great color. Here's a crooked bent nail and some oak. The back side, I mean, this is cool. The back side is just as cool. Just the texture and the color coming through. As you can see, big oak leaf. And I think, well, that was the outside because that's where the ties were. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember. But we've also got some small oak leaves in here as well. So that's a nice one. I mean, trying to decide which side to use might be tough. Again, just a nice, oops, there's still some plant matter on there. This is nice and subtle, and it's got some overlapping. There is one tulip poplar that kind of printed, which excites me too. Can we just have kind of some watercolory washes of color? And this, I believe, yes, because there's some of this on one of the pieces of fabric. I believe this is my pomegranate stalk. I think that's what those are. And so I really want to work a little more with the pomegranate. I know pomegranate fruit and rinds you can use, but I wasn't sure about printing with the leaves, so I'm happy to see that. This is mostly onion and tea, but again, on the other side, good texture. This one turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty sure that's blackberry, but don't quote me on that. We've got, you know, onion, and I think I might have thrown a little bit of avocado, crushed up avocado skins in there because there is a nice little bit of pink in there. But that one is really pretty. That can be a lot of different, maybe a lot of different things. So that's the results of the paper experiment. Well, what's next, you may be asking. Maybe you're not asking, but let me tell you what I'm going to do next. First of all, I have a number of bits that went through this process, and actually that one's not bad. I like the color on there. But either the eco printing didn't really print, or the colors are just kind of meh. You know, they just look like I spilled something in the kitchen, mopped it up with this piece of fabric, and it stained. These are all linen, so I want to do, you know, this. It has potential, but I think it either needs a little iron or a little tea or something to kind of, that yellow is almost too yellow. So these, because they're all mordanted, haven't been fully washed, they're just going to go into a jar with one of my down quick and dirty solar dye projects here, and that's where we're going to go next. Well, actually, okay, so then I also have all these undyed bits. I just found that on the floor of my art room. It's a very soft little piece of sheet. I usually use this like as a backing for embroidery. I have all these little cotton doilies that I found at the thrift store. So I'm just going to mordant these so that they're ready to be added to something, a dye bath at a future time. So those are all going to be mordanted. That's what all this is going to be. These are, these little serviettes or little coaster linens, whatever. I've dyed a couple and they turned out okay, so I'm going to mordant those and this little bit of eyelet lace. So this is, well, all all the undyed stuff here is going to go into a mordant soak, do its thing, and then I'm just going to air dry it on my drying rack and set it aside for whenever the next time I want to do some dyeing, because once it's mordanted, it's mordanted. And you never have to do it again, and you can let it dry and then come back, wet it later when you're ready to dye it. So that's what this little bundle's going to be. Either my do-overs, or now that I have a good idea what works and what doesn't, whatever. All right, now the next thing I want to do, I had so much fun with doing the threads and flosses, but I don't have many more. But I did buy like a 1 gallon Ziploc bag of random embroidery flosses at a thrift store a while back. So I just dug through it and I pulled out either the lightest colors that I could find, like this pink and things, or the boldest colors like this orange. And then I pulled out all the blues that weren't super dark blues. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to mordant them, and I'm going to select different ones to put into different dye baths, because I'd like to see what other colors I can get. And over dyeing these already colored ones may provide some interesting results. So these the blues, I'm all going to dye in something that gives me a good green. And I'm not sure what that's going to be. I think it's going to be either goldenrod or marigold with an iron modifier to see if I get a green. I'm also going to try to find some white something, if it's maybe more of the crochet cotton as my control. Yeah. So I'm hoping to maybe get some greens or something cool out of those. The pinks, I think I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I think if I do them in a tea and iron bath, they're just going to the pink isn't going to matter. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the pinks. Maybe some weaker yellow and see what kind of peachy, orangey colors I can get, or something. I'm not sure. Same with all these guys. And then, yeah, I'd like to try to see if I can get a really dark brown. So these three might be really good for that. See if I can get a really dark brown. Or just dull this orange down with some tea, just to kind of, that might be fun. That might just give me a nicer, like pumpkin-y, deep pumpkin orange or something. So let's see how this turns out. Let me show you how you can quickly is relative here. It takes a long time, but you only have to do a short little bit of work, and then you let just time, plants, and the sun do the rest of the work. Anyhow, how you can do natural dyeing very quickly and easy. Okay? So here I have my prepared fiber, and again, the white here is just crochet cotton, nothing fancy. I wish it were, but this is my experiments. And then I have some hanks of 6-strand embroidery floss, and I'm going to over dye that. So what I'm going to do first is prepare my dye baths. First one is about as easy as you can get. I have some tea bags, stuff those in a jar. Here I have dried marigolds. Calendula works really well as also. And when I did this before, I took the time to take the little, stemmy part off. Today I'm not going to do that. Well, that one doesn't want to come out. There we go. Okay. And kittens. Do not naturally dye your kittens. Hey, babies. You need to get that one. Oop. Okay. And then my third one. Ooh, was I going to do a fourth one with onion skins? I don't know. But, nettle leaves, dry nettle leaves. And I'm not measuring anything. If I were wanting, you know, perfect, consistent results, I might measure. I'm gonna guess-ish that I have like 1-to-1 weight of fabric, weight of fiber. Kitten. Yeah, okay, so now I have my jars. I have a kettle of hot water. It's not actually boiling, but it doesn't matter. You could probably just use tap, you know, just throw some water in there, depending on probably how hot and sunny it is where you're living. I'm in Alabama. Most of the time it's hot, kitten, and sunny. Okay, anyhow, now I'm going to choose my what's going in what jar. I know I want these blue ones to go in the jar with that's going to be yellow. I know that for a fact. These guys, I think I want to just dull and brown up the color. Now when I did this before and got the dark onyx gray with tea, I added rusty nails. But today I am not, because what I think I'm going to do after this is all done is I am going to, this is just white 6-strand cotton floss. Throw that in there with the gold. I'm going to, what is the word I want to say? I am going to modify with the rusty iron water, but I'm just going to do a dip. That's my plan. Okay, I think, what was I going to do with these? I think I'm going to set those aside, put those with onions. I just got to get another jar for the onions. All right, try to break these up into their individual. So when I said these were prepared, what I did was I mordanted them ahead of time in, I don't know where I want this to be. I'm going to put it in here. Oops, I think that's 2. Yes, it's 2. I soaked it overnight in a solution of alum lactate and water. And it probably had a little tannin in it because the last time I mordanted things, I also added oak gall to it. So I did a pretty big chunk of the marigold already in this thread. So I don't think I want to do another one. I think I'm just going to do a bunch of tea and a bunch of that. Now I'm going to get another jar and do onion skins, but I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'll do that off camera. So now I've got these all ready. I'm just going to pour some hot water in here to cover everything. Now, do what works for you. I did this last time I did nettle and I forgot to fix it this time. Probably it would be a good idea to make some kind of little cloth tea bag or something to hold the loose nettle, especially because as you can see it gets very, yeah. So I did have to pick a lot of nettle bits out of my yarn, but this is all just cotton smooth floss yarn, flossy stuff, so it comes out pretty easy. If I were doing wool, I would for sure make sure I bag that. Okay, well, so this is really all you have to worry about at this point. You're going to put a lid on each one, tighten it down. I do like to use these plastic lids just because, although there's nothing here, it's going to rust. But And yeah, that got a little something in it. I'm not gonna oh, probably one of the tea bags popped open. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna shake this up. Just to mix everything around in there. Yeah, you're gonna have, oh, I can already see yellow dripping out of that. So the color's already coming out of that. Oh, I gotta get it. So remember to put very hot water in there. Okay. So that it gets mixed up in there a little bit. Put an awful lot of fiber in that one with the tea bags, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to do what it's going to do. That one might need a little more water on it. But you just want it to get down in there. And again, if you don't like the mess of that, put everything in some kind of tea bag kind of situation to keep it like this, where the fiber and the plants are separate. But I kind of think I don't know, it just like, baby girl, you're right in front of the camera. Thank you. Okay, well, then what I do is I take these outside on my front porch where I know they're gonna get sun pretty much all day. And if it were, it's October now, but if it were July or August, I wouldn't have even had to boil that water. I could put it out on my sunny porch and it would get a day's worth of summer Alabama sun, and it would not quite boil, but it would be pretty hot. But I can leave it out there for all day and come in. I can leave it out there. You don't want to leave it out there for more than a day or two because especially with the heat, it may mildew. So, oop, this one did not tighten down very well. Okay. Anyway, and then after it sits for a while, I'll come back and show you our results. And then I've got to go do onions here. Well, here are the final results of my floss and crochet thread natural dyeing experiments. I'll try to be quick and not ramble too much, but no guarantees. I believe I've already shown you these, so depending on how this gets edited. All right, anyway, this is tea with iron, marigolds, and nettle. Showed you those already. Then I did a couple more crochet cotton. This one is tea and iron, like the other gray, but this one I just dipped real quick into the iron solution, rust solution, after it was dyed with the tea. So it's a lighter gray. But boy, those are really nice tonality there for some natural dyeing, or stitching. And then this one is just black tea, no iron. So these two were the same. One got dipped in iron, one didn't. And as you can see, this is also iron, or tea. And these two were nettle. Nettle on its own, and nettle with a dip in the iron water. Trying to get them center and focus. There we go. Now from my little jar dyeing experiment, these are just the cotton embroidery floss, your plain DMC floss, so easy. And I had them all separated by how I dyed them, how I put which materials or which dye matter I put each one in, and what they started off at, and then they got messed up. So I hopefully will be able to sort them back out again. These were easy. There were 4 different shades of green, or of blue, and I put them in with marigold. And now they're beautiful shades of green. This was the bright turquoise, and I don't remember the others, but they turned out beautiful shades of green. And yeah, I can probably buy plain DMC floss in these colors, but it was a good experiment in overdyeing and seeing, if you don't have the color you need, how can you get it, right? Okay, these and maybe this one. I don't remember how many pinks I had. This was the pale, that one pink. Okay, focus. All right, there we go. And it got tea dyed, so it really just took the brightness off the pink. And then I dipped the half of it in the iron solution to give it this kind of grayed out, dusty rose mauve color. So I think when that is stitched as a variegated thread, come on, focus again. Here we go. It will be a very pretty, subtle thread. And then this was definitely the bright, bright, bright pumpkin Halloween orange. It wasn't neon or fluorescent, but it was still a bright orange. And I tea dyed it, which you can see that little bit right there. Dulled out the orange, made it a pretty russet color, but then I dipped that in iron as well and got, I would call that like a pretty auburn, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's coming off on camera as it's coming in real life, but it's a very pretty subtle color. And then this is where I lost the plot. I don't remember what's what. I know there's some things that were in onion skin, and I'm gonna guess that these were onion, perhaps, or maybe this one, because onion usually gives a nice, bright, warm, yellowy color. And I know that I put at least one pink in with the onion skin, so I'm gonna guess that that's what that is. Your guess is as good as mine, but I got some beautiful, warm, kind of autumn leaf color. All these are, these will just make some pretty, I don't know what I'll do with them, but I'm sure I'll share it with you, whatever I decide. And then this might have been also, come on, just plain white with onion skin, and then I dipped it, in iron to sadden it. So, and then that leaves these two, which I feel like there was more than two, but they might have ended up being the cotton, crochet cotton, but there was some up there because there's more than two things, I think, in the nettle dye. But these two, I am pretty confident were both in there, and then this one got iron dipped and this one didn't, so we have the same color but saddened with the iron. It's a good example of that. Again, really good colors. So these are my new collection of natural dyed or over dyed with natural dyes flosses. And I'm going to come up with some kind of project to do with them. Yeah, I don't know what, or just put them in my stash and stitch with them as I go. But I am working on a couple projects that I think these will work for, and of course I will share them with you when the time comes. But I'm going to briefly return to back to this heavier cotton, and it's matte finish cotton. Let's get it up here where you can see all the different colors. Shit, okay, here we go. All right, so it's matte crochet cotton. It doesn't have any sheen to it. It doesn't have any mercerization or polish to it. But the colors are gorgeous, right? Well, I did try stitching with it just on this piece of eco-printed, eco-dyed cotton. And I did some just running stitch. This is the tea marigold nettle, the tea with iron. So those, just trying to see the different colors. Did some French knots. And I used a pretty good sized needle with a large eye, but it wasn't a pleasure. It wasn't relaxing to stitch this. Also, not the most comfortable stitching fabric. It's a little thicker, more of a broadcloth than like a sheet or a even weave. So it had a lot of things going against it. But I didn't enjoy really stitching with this. so I got thinking, well, what am I going to use this for? I mean, it was mainly just an experiment because I had the big ball of the white cotton, and I was like, well, let's see what colors I get, right? Gives me basically free materials to play with. But once I got them, I'm like, well, those are really pretty. I've got to do something cool with them. Plus we have these ones here as well. These are the nettle ones. Anyway, I have had this hanging up because it's one of many unfinished projects. And this was a little crochet thing I did years ago. I don't know what I was planning to do with it, but this is as far as I got, making these hexagons. Although I've been on a hexagon theme the last little bit. It's probably why I hung it up on the wall. But I'm sitting here playing with all these things, putting labels on things, and I look up and this is hanging in front of my face. And I'm like, oh, duh. This is crochet cotton. This is crochet cotton. I could crochet with crochet cotton and make little motifs for my slow stitching. Because remember, I bought all these at the thrift store and I've dyed a few. This is just mordanted. It hasn't been dyed. And I liked them. They're cool. I didn't throw any into these batches. I intended to, just didn't. So why keep, yeah. Then I also remembered old age. It's just, you forget, and then you remember. I had this book, and it's a really cool book. I will put the name and author and everything in the description, and I encourage you to go somewhere other than a big online book reseller, retailer, and see if you can find it. Thrift books is a great place, etc. But you do you, but I'm trying to avoid them, but it's probably where it came from in the first place. When you know better, you do better. Anyway, did a lot of circles, a lot of mandala kind of ones. There are squares, so I bought this because I was on a granny square kick and I got tired of making the same blanket with same granny squares, so I got it to make different shapes and things. And of course, hexagons. Anyhow, I decided to make some. I don't think that's the one I used. I don't know which one I used. That would require I keep notes and pay attention. I literally opened it up, said, that looks cool, let's do that one. And that's exactly what I did. Anyway, as you can see, lots of options. And these are two different ones. I can't remember. I obviously can't find them. But this way, instead of one that's all one color, no matter if I tea dye it or whatever, I can mix the colors in and get these pretty blends. I like it. Then I was back here in the back and I saw these different shapes and I thought, cool. Really, really cool. I can also do more hearts if I want. And I got thinking that these half circles are really cool. There's the one I used. So I did some half circles. And I think these are awesome because if I'm applying them to some slow stitch piece, I'll pull something out of here at random. Get this one out of here. So if I have this slow stitch piece and again, I just grabbed one out of the bag. So I could, put one of these brown motifs on here. But wouldn't it also be cool if I can put some half ones, like at the edges, or in a journal page? I could sew them on this way, and then they're tabs on a page. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, and it was just a matter of exploration and inspiration to come up with these, a use for my playtime. Okay, I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this little exploration and playing with natural dyes and eco printing and overdyeing floss and getting inspired to make more thingamajigs and doodads for our junk journals or slow stitching or wherever you want to use these things, these items, these threads, these strings, as my friend calls them. Yeah, just keep playing, keep being inspired and experimenting and seeing where your materials and your time and your play will take you, because that's really what it's all about. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, a subscribe, and I think there's this new thing called Hype. I haven't really understood it or checked it out, but if you understand it and you want to do it, then do it, because it really helps me out. Share this with a friend. Just anything you can do to let YouTube know that this is the kind of thing you want to see. I appreciate it. Gets it out to more people, and I can use all the help I can get right now. So we'll go into that maybe a little more in another video where I kind of stitch and talk. But for now, I need to get a video out. So here we are. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some inspiration and took the scary out of natural dyeing, because I think I've been in the past didn't know what to do or where to begin. So hopefully maybe I can get you, this video can get you started on the path toward exploring your neighborhood, exploring what's out there around you, natural dye stuff wise, and even in your kitchen. Really, some of the best things I got were from my kitchen or a pot on my back patio. So have at it, have fun. Peace out. Peace out. Love you lots. Take care of yourself. See you soon. Pink Lily Bell. Well, it feels like, yeah, that's right. Walk away. Just walk away. All right, you two. Shenanigan builders.